Hello, sweet friends. My name is Birdie and I'm your friendly neighborhood forest witch. And in today's video, I am going to be sharing all about my trip to Chicago, Illinois, the first week of April. Now, let me tell you what, I am never going on vacation again during Mercury retrograde. Oh my goodness, it was a complete disaster. But before I hop into the tea, let's start at the beginning of the trip. So Chicago is only about 3 hours away from me here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So it's not that far away. However, we had never went for a trip before. Now we did go one evening for a concert in memory of Juice WRLD, who is my eldest son's favorite musician. Now Juice WRLD had passed away a couple years ago at the age of 21, and he was originally from Chicago, and his grave is in a town right outside of Chicago. So my oldest really wanted to go to the grave. So on the way there, we had stopped at Juice WRLD's grave and my son got to pay respects. But that's when it started raining, which it rained and snowed the entire time we were in Chicago. It was absolutely miserable. But at this point, you know, we had just gotten there. We got to the grave. Everybody else had stayed in the car while my son got out, paid his respects, took some photos. Everything was okay. So then we went ahead to our condo and it was absolutely beautiful. Now, I wasn't allowed to take any video because in the description on Airbnb, commercial photography and videography wasn't allowed, so I didn't do that, but I will leave the listing to the Airbnb down in the description if you would like to check it out. And I'll put some pictures up here on the screen so you can see it. It had the brick walls in it, and it just looked like a beautiful city condo apartment, little studio apartment, and it was super cute. Had a full kitchen, had a laundry room, a nice bathroom, and it was able to fit 6 people, and we were allowed to bring the dogs. Now Sylvia and Severus aren't used to going on vacation. Normally when we go on vacation, we leave them here with somebody to babysit them. Severus has only been on vacation one time, I believe, and that was when he was a puppy. So they are not used to going to different places and things like that, but I will get into or back into them a little bit later. So once we got to the condo and dropped the dogs off and dropped our luggage off, it started raining a little bit harder, so we didn't want to walk very far. So there was a ramen place called Nano Broadway down the street from our condo. So we just walked there in the pouring down rain. This is at the point where it really started pouring down. So by the time we got to the ramen place, even though it was a short distance away, we were completely soaked. But the hostess there was so sweet and just kind, and we ordered our food. My oldest, he ended up getting sushi and the rest of us got ramen, and it was pretty good. Now, it wasn't our favorite. Me and my husband love Haru. I believe that's how you pronounce it here in Fort Wayne. That is by far our favorite ramen place. But, you know, for what it was really good and we had a great time. And then we went back to the condo and stayed there for the rest of the evening. Then on day 2, we actually rode the red line for the first time. All of us, it was our first time, and it was quite an experience. Oh my goodness. At first, we couldn't get the ticket machine to work, and we ended up having to try 3 different machines. And then at one point, my son's ticket wouldn't work and it wouldn't let us through the little entrance thing. And oh my goodness. So this is probably where the bad luck started trickling in on day 2. So after that, after going on the red line, we went to, I'd say, more of the more populated area of the city. So downtown, where all the skyscrapers are, and we were walking around, we found a bakery called Magnolia Bakery, and I got a London Fog latte, which is one of my favorite teas to drink. Now, I will mention that they didn't add any sweetener, so if you do want sweetener, definitely tell them while you're ordering. I also ordered a chocolate chip cookie, which was really good, and I loved the interior of the bakery. It was so pretty. The architecture, like, I am really into architecture, and with being an empath, when I am in a building, specifically a historical building, I can actually feel its history within myself and visualize what it was in its glory, and it just sparked something within me to just be sitting there looking out the window while I enjoyed my treat. But then after that, we were on a mission to find the bean, but unfortunately when we got there, they were doing construction. Like, it looked like the bean was wounded. It had, like, I don't know, it was like sheets of metal underneath. I don't know exactly what they were doing to it, but it was all gated off and we couldn't get in. Now, my oldest son, being 6 foot or a little over 6 foot, he was able to get some pictures over the gate of it, so I will put them up here. So unfortunately, we couldn't get up close to the bean. But then after that, we actually found a museum called the Illusions Museum, and that was really cool. There was all kinds of interactive stuff that we can do, and oh my goodness, the kids had so much fun, and me and my husband, like, there were things where you could take pictures. Like, there was this one area where it made one person look really tall and one person look really short. There was this area with a mirror where you put half of your body behind the wall and half, like, beside the mirror, and then you could do, like, certain positions, and it looked really cool. There was, like, light tunnels and rooms that had different shapes and lights going around, and, like, I don't know, there was just so much interactive stuff, and the kids really enjoyed it. We had a lot of fun. And then probably my favorite room in there was the one that was all mirrors. Like, you went in the room, you closed the door, and it was all mirrors, and they had these beautiful faux flowers up top with some fairy lights. It was absolutely gorgeous. I loved that room. And then after that, we went to lunch at a place called Crisp that has Korean barbecue, and oh man, that was so good. I absolutely loved that place. I think the one that I had was the garlic and honey sauce wings, but they were absolutely delicious. I highly recommend that place. And then after lunch, we went to the aquarium, which was so much fun. We got to see so many aquatic animals, and some I had never seen before, like the, was it the Baduka whale? I'm probably pronouncing that all wrong. I'll put the name of it here, and obviously I have some videos, but I can't remember exactly what the name is. But they were so cute. They would come up out of the water and then go back in and jump. And then actually there was an area where you could walk down the stairs and you could see inside their tank, which was really cool. This place also had some sharks, which was on the, I think it was on the second floor, and that there was a huge line to enter the shark tank. And then they also had some beautiful jellyfish, which I got some shots of as well. So we had a great time at the aquarium. And then for dinner, we actually went to a restaurant right underneath the condo called El Mariachi, and the food was really good. However, I will note that the queso that we ordered, now, whenever we go to a Mexican restaurant, we always order queso with our chips. However, this place actually has queso. It's not a dip. It's like they send out tortillas, either corn or flour tortillas, and it's like a cast iron skillet with melted cheese that you're supposed to put on your tortilla and eat it like that, like a cheesy, quesadilla or burrito or something like that. So it's not actually a dip. So I did want to mention that if you ever go there and order the queso, it's not your standard queso dip that you get at Mexican restaurants normally. It is a skillet cheese, and actually my oldest and my husband said it tastes like cheesy chips like we make in the microwave, where we do tortilla chips and then sprinkle on some shredded cheese. That's kind of what it tasted like. I thought it was really good, but it was definitely really, really greasy. So yeah, just wanted to give that as a side note. And then we went back to the condo to hang out with the dogs, and while me and some of the kids stayed there, my husband and my oldest actually went to a Cubs game. Now, my oldest has been playing baseball since he was really little and absolutely loves it. So my husband definitely wanted to take him to a professional baseball game, the Cubs game, and the Cubs won. So that was a really cool experience. So they really enjoyed that. And I forgot to mention, so during day 2, with all of that walking, I ended up spraining my ankle. Now, in my 20s, I used to sprain my ankle at least once or twice a year. There was even a point where I had sprained both my ankles at one time and had to walk around with 2 boots on. It looked absolutely ridiculous. So I have really weak ankles. So with all that walking, I did end up spraining my ankle. So by the end of day 2, I was in a lot of pain, I would say. And actually my son ended up hurting his foot as well. So we were both worse from the wear. So then day 3, both of us still injured, our plan was to go to the Field Museum. Now, the Field Museum was back where the aquarium was. So we had to walk to the Red Line, get on the Red Line for about 30 minutes, and then take about a half-hour walk to the Field Museum. So we finally got there, and of course you got to walk around the Field Museum. So we were both really hurting. We didn't even get, I'd say we were only there maybe 30 to 45 minutes. And then I got a call. I got a call from the Airbnb. He had said that the apartment below us was saying that there was a leak coming from our apartment. Well, when we were there, there was nothing running. There was no water anywhere, like nothing was going on. And I told him that. And the apartment on the other side down below was complaining that our dogs were repeatedly barking the entire time that we were not there. Oh my goodness. So at the Field Museum, I was only able to essentially go through one section, and that was the bird section. So I'm really happy I was at least able to go through the bird section, and I got some really beautiful pictures of these birds. Now, I wasn't able to get any video because everything was in glass cases and my camera kept picking up the glare, but I did use my really nice camera to take some photos of everything, and that was able to get through the glass without the glare. So I will show those here. And so since the Airbnb host had called, unfortunately, we had to leave the field house without seeing the entirety of it, walk all the way back 30 minutes to the red line, get on the red line for 30 minutes, and then get back to the condo for the dogs. However, before we got to the condo, we did stop and get some lunch at the breakfast house, and that was actually pretty good. It's kind of like a diner setting, so they serve breakfast food and lunch foods. So then we got back to the condo, and sure enough, as soon as we opened the door, the dogs were still barking. Like, they were barking their heads off. I guess I can't blame them though. They're not used to going on vacation, obviously. They were in somewhere that was unfamiliar to them, and we weren't in there, of course, so I really can't blame them. So I ended up staying with them the rest of the trip, not only, you know, to keep them calm, but also because my ankle at this point, I couldn't walk on it. And also with my son, he couldn't walk on his foot either. So I guess it was actually for the best. Now, even though I stayed in the condo, my husband and two of my sons actually went back out onto the red line to get some pizza, and then they came back, and then we actually decided to end up leaving that night instead of spending our last night there, because at that point everything had just been going wrong. Like I said, it rained and snowed the entire time. We were soaked, we were cold, me and my son were in pain, the dogs were just over it, they were ready to go home, and at that point we were all ready to go home too. And some of us, even from the beginning, didn't even want to be there and wanted to go home because it was just a downright miserable trip. Now, me and my husband are planning to go back one of these days for just a day trip so we can finish off the field museum and maybe go to a restaurant or two that we weren't able to get to this past time. But as far as taking the kids, I think they never want to go back. Other than my oldest, he was fine. He had a great time, but the other ones, they're over it. They went once, didn't want to go from the get-go, and they're just done with it. So yeah, I'm glad it's over. That's all I have to say about that. But yeah, oh my goodness, it was quite the trip. Never again during Mercury retrograde. Oh my goodness. But of course, the kids' spring break fell during Mercury retrograde, so that's why we went during that time. But yeah, that was my trip. That was the tea. I hope you all enjoyed it for what it was and my pictures and my videos. But other than me having a bad time, I hope you all enjoyed the visuals. But thank you all so much for watching this video. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks, friends. Bye. And then after that, we went to Did they? Am I confusing it? Never again on Mercury. Right below our condo is a restaurant called Mary. Is a restaurant called Mary. We had biryani.